Seater means you get a lot of piano. Ready? Good. 1, 2, 3.
Good morning, everybody. Good to see everyone. Getting ready for those back to schoolers, right? Early mornings. Summer is over. Not to worry. We have great music for you today. I think we're going to get started. You ready? Standing outside the door of love and mercy, you wonder if there's a place there for you. You know there's peace inside, but still you're searching for someone who understands the pain you've been through. Well, the door's unlocked, the lights are on. What are you waiting for? Come on in and welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in. You'll find the place of rest in the arms of Spirit. God's waited so long for your homecoming day. God knows the peace you seek and the hurt you're feeling. Spirit wants to hold you and to wipe the tears away. While the Father waits with open arms, God is calling out your name. Come on in and welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in. Well, there's room enough in the house of love for someone just like you. Come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, just come on in and welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in. Just come on in and welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, just come on in and welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, just come on in.
Good morning, Unity of Pompano. I'm Dina Shimmick, and I'm honored to be up here on behalf of our spiritual leaders, Bev Spivey and Reverend Lawrence Palmer, as they are away for the week at a Palmer fun-filled reunion. They're in Ohio and then in West Virginia, and they'll be back with us next Sunday, coming back home on Wednesday. So we're really excited that they get a chance to be away from us, even though we miss them here, and possibly they're watching us on live stream. So a hello to them and anyone else who's watching us from afar.
Hi, Bev and Lawrence. Have some barbecue for us.
Yes, please. And we hope that anyone that is watching from somewhere else feels the love of this community, even if you are elsewhere. We are very, very honored to have our very own Rick Riccardi and Libby Lay as guest speakers today. And how about our incredible musicians led by James McCoy?
Good morning. Would you please welcome once again Mr. John Rose at the piano this morning. Mr. Pedro Baroas at the drum set. And that's Samantha Natalie Wallace, of course. We have music from The Wiz this morning. I'm not kidding. You can go and put on your scarecrow outfit or your lion or get your ruby red slippers if you like. Dina, you should have worn some today.
I should have.
We should have talked about that.
Next time.
We thought it would have been fun since we're doing something from The Wiz if we all would have dressed up like characters from The Wiz, but we only thought of that this morning. So
Next time.
enjoy.
Next time. We have a yearly theme, and it is Living Beyond Enough. And our theme for the month is Harvest. If you could please affirm with me together our affirmation for August. I accept my good as it flows to me in rippling streams of plenty. I express my gratitude in feeling, in word, and in action. And we come together every week with intention and purpose, and we express that with our vision together. Centered in God, we create an ever-expanding spiritual community of one. And our mission? We are spiritual beacon of inspiration, abundance, and enlightenment. And for this week, in lieu of a prayer, we're going to do a prayer for our nation. If you could please say it with me. We have faith in the love and wisdom of God within every person and situation. We affirm that our country's citizens and its leaders are guided to positive, prosperous, harmonious action that manifests the highest good for all people. And if you can now rise as we sing Lord Most High.
This is a call and response song, and I'm going to be the call, and Sam is going to lead you in the response. Let's all sing. From the ends of the earth,
From the ends of the earth,
the depths of the sea,
to the depths of the sea,
the heights of the heavens,
the height of the heavens,
your name we raise. From the hearts of the weak,
from the hearts of the weak,
the shouts of the strong,
the shouts of the strong,
the lips of all people,
the lips of all people,
this song we raise together. Throughout the endless ages, you will be crowned with praises, Lord Most High. Exalted in every nation, sovereign of all creation, Lord Most High, we magnify. From the ends of the earth,
from the ends of the earth,
the depths of the sea,
the depths of the sea,
from the height of the
the
heavens,
height of the heavens,
your name we raise. From the hearts of the weak,
the hearts of the weak,
the shouts of the strong,
the shouts of the strong,
from the lips of all people,
the lips of all people,
this song we raise, Lord. Throughout the endless ages, you will be crowned with praises, Lord Most High. Exalted in every nation, sovereign of all creation, Lord Most High. Throughout the endless ages, you will be crowned with praises, Lord Most High. Exalted in every nation, sovereign of all creation, Lord Most High, we magnify. Good morning.
We would like to acknowledge anyone that's here for the first time. If you don't mind raising your hand, we simply just have a brochure for you to give you welcome. We invite you and everyone else to come next door to fellowship right through the double doors where we have refreshments and good conversation afterwards. And this last week's Tuesday class went ahead and brought things in as they had a giving circulation, and we still have items left over. What they had was anything in their home or something that they've hung on to that didn't serve them any longer, they brought for someone else to find a place in their home for. So we have plenty of items over there if you want to take a look, and it's just on a love offering basis. We also have our website, www.unitypompanobeach.org, that you can find all of our announcements as well. And prayer is important to us. We have a prayer chaplain in the first room on the right through the double doors, 30 minutes before the service, 30 minutes after the service. And you'll notice at the end our prayer chaplains will line up around the sanctuary, ready to sit with you and have affirmative prayer. So if you've never experienced the way that we pray here, I really encourage you to take that time to do that. We also have prayer slips in the back of the chairs. We now have our folders, so in there you could find all of our contact sheets and the prayer slips as well, that you can place either in the offering plate or in the prayer box in the north at this time. Next Sunday, which is the third Sunday of the month, Reverend Lawrence has his Sunday sessions where he delves a little bit deeper into the topic of the month, which is harvest this month. So you can feel free to go next door to fellowship, get some snacks, and then come on over at 12:30 where you can ask any questions that have been burning on your mind this month or any curiosities that you have. It's a great time to get that dialogue going with Reverend Lawrence. So I know if you were at the last one, you will be here Tuesday. You have cleared your schedule. Edith is doing her crystal ball meditation again at 7 p.m., and it is a beautiful, beautiful experience. I encourage you to come. If you have any like-minded friends, coworkers, families, this is a great event to bring them to. It's on a love offering basis. It's only for an hour, although it feels like you've gone somewhere deep for multiple hours. She is very peaceful and powerful at the same time, so I would encourage you guys to come out for that. August is filled with events, so the following Tuesday, we're going to have a Reiki circle next door. If any of you are Reiki practitioners, please see Reverend Lawrence because he would love to speak with you and have you help facilitate that. Then the following Tuesday, on the 29th, we are going to have a game night filled with snacks and fun, and we're going to set it up with different games at different tables. If you are not a gamer, that's fine. Please come to just hang out and have some snacks. It's sure to be a fun night. And Daniela Demari, Breath of Life. This is something that was a beautiful experience last time. We almost packed this place, so we're intending to do that again. It's September 8th at 7:30. It's $20 per ticket if you pay cash or check, but if you pay credit, we just add that extra 60 cents to cover our fees. And you can go ahead and sign up for that in the front after the service. We are very excited to be hosting SEE by the Sea, where we are going to be hosting a series of intensive courses led by Reverend Lawrence, Bev, and also Cynthia. And then other ministers are coming in from the community to facilitate these as well. It is going to be November through the 10th. It's 4 days. And we are actually starting the early bird rate of $65 per class. This is not just for people who are seeking those credits, but anyone who's interested in delving a little bit deeper into Unity and all that they have to offer here. And we are so excited. David, Judy, and Joey had this great idea to put together a Labor Day potluck picnic. And we are already starting to get people signed up. I think the limit is 60, so please make sure you do so in the narthex. Joey will be available after the service if you have any questions. We're trying to carpool. We're trying to have drivers and have people sign up for what they're going to bring food-wise as well. So we're really looking forward to spending Labor Day weekend together. And that's it for announcements. Please rise and hug each other.
This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made.
Let's all sing.
This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day the Lord has made. That the Lord
There will be plenty of time in fellowship to socialize on this level. Before I go into the daily word, I would like to introduce our speakers. It is my pleasure to introduce our friend and member, Rick Riccardi. Rick worked on Wall Street for 25 years, specializing in tax-exempt bonds. He was a senior manager for various major firms and eventually owned and managed his own securities firm. He was treasurer of the board of directors of NYC Police Athletic League, helping over 60,000 city kids. Moving to Florida, Rick founded Fellowship Living Facilities in 2005, a not-for-profit recovery residence for men and women. They now house up to 215 residents in 67 community apartments. Rick was a founding member of this revitalized church in 2010. From the initial organizing, he served 6 years on our board as treasurer and as president. Rick also serves the community in a number of leadership roles with Margate and Pompano Beach Chambers of Commerce, Downtown Rotary Club, Greater Fort Lauderdale Alliance, and the Broward Sheriff Reentry Program. On a state level, he serves as treasurer of the board of directors of the Florida Association of Recovery Residences. Rick is married to Susan and has 4 children and 8 grown grandchildren. Today, Rick is joined by another talented and giving member of our congregation, Libby Lay. Libby grew up in a military family. She has lived in Hawaii, Puerto Rico, and Key West, to name a few. Libby has 1 daughter and 3 beautiful granddaughters. She currently works at Fort Lauderdale Addiction Treatment Center as lead tech supervisor, and she is starting her 2nd year at Sacred Journey Interfaith Seminary in September and will be ordained on June 8, 2018. Libby is a member and has been active Unity of Pompano as a prayer chaplain as well. She also substitutes as the Power Hour facilitator in Cynthia's absence. So if we can just welcome both of them. And now our daily word. Awareness. I am aware of God's presence in everything I do and everyone I meet. A first step in realizing our spiritual purpose is to become aware of the one presence and the one power, God, the omnipotent. That defines the essence of everything. We see divine presence in great spiritual teachers, beautiful sunsets, or in the eyes of children. Before we were awakened to spirit, there were experiences that spoke to us of a power far greater than the limits of this mortal realm. Our spiritual path is always moving us forward. Awake and aware, we find our lives filled with opportunities to accomplish our spiritual purpose. Choice by choice, we bring into awareness a dimension of consciousness that Jesus describes as the kingdom of heaven. And the scripture, be renewed in the spirit of your minds, and to clothe yourselves with the new self, created accordingly to the likeness of God.
Right now, as the prayer chest comes forward, we'd like to begin a time of prayer and meditation by singing together, "Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place."
Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel this mighty power and this grace. There's a holy hush around us. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place.
As we enter this time of meditation, I invite everyone to gently close their eyes and find a position that feels comfortable for you. And let's start with the breath, inhaling and exhaling. And as you continue to breathe, you feel your mind giving your body permission to sit gently, to release any tension, to let go any of the to-dos, any of the busyness that is going through your mind, and place that aside as it is not invited into this time. As we take another deep breath in and exhale, we slowly feeling ourselves giving the right permission to be and to allow all of those thoughts to dissipate. As you continue to breathe, notice how your body follows, your muscles become untense, and you are comfortably just being in the moment. I'd like you now to visualize a light, whether it be the beautiful stained glass window above that has the power to shine through even as your eyes are closed. Or perhaps you want to visualize yourself on the beach, floating in the water with the intense rays of the sun casting its light down on you. And as you continue to breathe, allow this light to enter your being. Allow this light to renew you, to release any darkness you feel, anything that's been weighing on your heart. This light has that power to diminish all of that. And as you take another deep breath, realize that you have the power to guide this light. If there's any injuries, any condition that needs healing, allow this light to touch there. Allow this light to envelop that area and leave nothing but the hope of healing and the knowledge that God is that life breath running through us. With another inhalation, allow that light to attack any fears you may have, any doubts of the unknown, any new beginnings starting in your life. And with that exhalation, you feel the faith and the hope that everything is in divine order and there's nothing to be feared. Take another deep breath and allow it to touch anywhere that you may feel guilt. And know that that is not yours, that any responsibilities that have been placed on your shoulders can be swiped away as you are on your path and you are doing the best that you can, and Spirit supports you on this journey. And as you continue to breathe, allow that light to fill your being. Allow that light to cast away anything that does not serve you any longer as we go into the silence. And as we now gently ease ourselves back into this time and place, we feel the power of our breath, and we know that at any moment we can take ourselves back here, touching a sacred place where we connect with Spirit. And we feel so grateful for this. Our breath has given us peace and release, and we shall carry this throughout our day. Knowing that we have this connection at any given time fills us with immense gratitude for this place and this space and each other. And with this, we can say amen.
We'd like to close this time by singing together, Alleluia.
When you're weary, feeling small, when tears are in your eyes, I will dry them all. I'm on your side. Oh, when times get rough and friends just can't be found, like a bridge over troubled water, I will lay me down. When you're down and out, when you're on the street, when evening falls so hard, I will comfort you. I'll take your part. Oh, when darkness comes and friends just can't be found, like a bridge over troubled water, I will lay me down. Sail on, silver girl, your time has come to shine. All your dreams are on their way. See how they shine. Oh, if you need a friend, well, I'm standing right behind, like a bridge over troubled water. I will lay me down like a bridge over troubled water. I will lay me down like a bridge over troubled water. I will lay me down. I will lay me
That's Samantha Natalie.
Okay. Wait a minute, this is working. Just in case. Okay, thanks.
Mine's working.
You're good. All
I'm
right,
good.
we're good.
I was making a joke with Rick. I told him his mic was on because he was singing that song.
It's like, what?
I got him good.
The silver girl, I just was thinking about you when you was doing that. You're the silver girl, yeah, for sure.
I love that song. It was a great choice,
Yeah.
James.
Thank you, James. Bev and Lawrence asked us to talk about a little bit about this harvest thing and sort of how harvest works in our lives. And I can think of harvesting. What am I harvesting? You know, I got to harvest, and it's about cause and effect, and that deal. And we're trying to think of, well, what actually am I looking for? What actually am I getting out of this cause and effect, and how am I going to portray that to you? And I kept thinking, for me, my harvest is fulfillment. We talk about joy and happiness, and I'm thinking, well, what gives me that? And I'm thinking about, well, it's fulfillment. So in my story, basically, we're going to talk about, when we got the bio, we talked about all those things that we did. It's all those pieces in between that we don't talk about that create what we do, both good and bad. So we're going to tell our stories about that. And so I'm going to let Libby start with her great story. And just so you know, we'll both introduce ourselves. I'm a person in long-term recovery, and what that means is I haven't had a drink or a drug for the last 23 years. And so that doesn't mean I've been better for the last 23 years, that's for sure. So, but that's a path. So anyway, I'll let Libby tell her story, and then we'll tell ours. We're going to take about 10 minutes apiece and go through it like that. So, Libby?
Thanks, Rick. And I told Rick that we were going to have to keep each other on time, and then I forgot to wear a watch, so it's on you.
I got you. I'm there.
Well, I have to say that when Bev asked me to write a short bio, I called her and told her, I said, you know, I'm from a military family, and I lived in these places, and I said, Bev, it goes downhill from there. I don't, you know, I mean, I come from a really good family, but alcoholism affected my family and affected me in a big way, and I started running away from home when I was 13, and ended up, because I wouldn't stay home, and I was given an ultimatum in juvenile detention center of I could either go home and stay or I could stay in jail, and I chose to stay there. So somehow out of that, the solution to that problem was for me to get married when I was 15. And I was exposed to a lot of domestic violence, a lot of more of the same of what I was running from. And coupled with extremely low self-worth and low self-esteem, I ended up following the path of my father, who is in recovery also now, and getting involved in drugs and alcohol from an early age. And when I say total destruction, I had bouts of doing well. Like I somehow put together almost 2 years worth of community college, like one semester at a time with years and years in between. So, you know, I wanted to do something better. I just wasn't equipped. I didn't have, first of all, I didn't have the coping skills, and I also didn't have the spiritual tools that I use today that have saved my life. So there was an extreme amount of pain involved before I got to the end. And, you know, part of the beautiful nature of pain for me in my life is that everything that happened to me, I've somehow turned it into this amazing ball of healing energy that I can offer to the next person who's going down the same road. And I like to be sometimes maybe too brutally honest about the things that have happened to me and where I am, because I know how I felt when somebody shared those things, and I could identify and say I'm not the only one and feel like there was some hope for me. So that's kind of the beginning of my story. And then I, you know, ended up, of course, in jail, in mental institutions, and running the streets, homeless. And it couldn't get any worse than you can imagine. And, you know, I had to have a solution. I had to have something. And at this point in my life, I am so grateful for all of that, because I feel like almost like somebody held my face to the fire and said, either you're going to heal or you're going to die. And in those circumstances, you know, I had to make a choice. It wasn't like, maybe I'll do this or maybe I'll do that. I had to really pick one and follow that path. So that's kind of what led me to where I am today. Do you want to go to your part and then we'll wrap it up with the ending, or do you want me to tell the whole thing? Okay. Okay, this is a good part. So I grew up, my mom's family are Quakers, and as a matter of fact, my great-great-grandfather was a Quaker minister and lived in the parsonage, and I have all these beautiful memories and, quilts that they made, and his Bible with all these sermons and stuff in it, but I didn't find any of these things out till later in life because I wasn't interested in that kind of thing. I was interested in being cool and wearing a mask and trying not to let you see how damaged I was. So what I ended up doing was, like I said, face to the fire, and I finally made a decision that I'm going to do something about it. And I went to treatment, and when I got out, I made a phone call, and I came to Fellowship Living. And that very first day, I met Rick, and my life has been different ever since. That was 4.5 years ago. Coming up on my 5-year anniversary in February. I'm so excited. Thank you. But the most amazing thing that has happened to me is that I have become passionate about this spiritual journey that I'm on. This is what has given me okay, so drugs and alcohol were my solution. That was how I dealt with life. I didn't deal with it. I just ran away from it. So I had to have a new solution once I put that down. And these spiritual principles that I use in my life today are the solution. And early on, about my second month, I think, at Fellowship, I was invited to come here to Unity. And as I walked in the doors and felt the love and the warmth and the acceptance and that song, Welcome Home, I sang that song all the time because I really felt like, you know, I was home and I needed somewhere to feel like people loved me and I could be, you know, part of a community that was trying to do something positive. So that turned into this passion for, you know, Power Hour and learning and changing and all these things. And last year, I decided that I was going to enroll in Sacred Journey Interfaith Seminary. And I did that with the help of a lot of you who helped me fund that, and I thank every one of you because it was the most amazing year. I learned so many things, and then in September I'm going to start again, and I'm going to become ordained in June of 2018. And if you could have seen what I was like, even when I got to fellowship, but if you could have seen what I was like when I was running around being an idiot, you can't even imagine the change that's come over me. I've gone from extreme opposite of not caring about anything or anyone, just me, to wanting to be of maximum service to mankind, not just recovering addicts, but to everyone that I meet. And that's what I try to do on a daily basis. I try to be kind and loving in every aspect of my life and do the best that I can, and I'm hoping that my interfaith aspect will help me people, so I can meet you wherever you are. You could, if you don't believe anything, or if you're Hindu and you're trying to convert to this or that, I mean, I can help you because I know about those things. And that was the reason that I became so interested in that, and why I'm looking forward to be ordained. And also, I'm taking my counseling test. I've been approved for that, so I'm going to take a test and become a certified addictions counselor. And hopefully I can couple my love of all things spiritual to help people heal. That's what I'm here for. And because of my meeting Bev and this community, I have Rick and Bev and everyone to thank for that. Bev and I spent many hours sitting on the floor at her house talking about these things, and she was one of the first ones who really believed in me and thought that I could possibly get to where I am now. As a matter of fact, she came to, when I picked up my one-year medallion, she came and supported me at a Narcotics Anonymous meeting, so that was pretty great. And I have this family that envelops me in love now, and all I want to do now is just turn around and give it out to the rest of the world. What do you think? Good?
Very good. Thank you. I don't know if I should, I think I'll stand. Maybe it's because I'm nervous, I don't know. But I can put this down. I had a whole different past than Libby. I didn't run the streets. I was on the street, Wall Street, but different streets. And I started drinking when I was like 14 years old, and I drank all my life. I got sober when I was 54 years old. So for those 40 years, drinking was how I got through stuff. Not only when I first started that, it was how I had fun, but after a while it was, you know, that feeling, I have to have a drink, you know, that feeling goes on all the time. So drinking gave me the power to do a lot of things that I never really knew how to do without drinking. I didn't know that till I stopped drinking. You know, even when I stopped drinking in 1994, I was 54 years old, and I had just lost my firm, this firm that is on my resume of owning. I don't own anymore. I lost that firm. I lost it as a result of my actions drinking, and it all went down the tubes. But there were many warnings before. My previous wife had told me many times, you drink too much. In my family, I argued all the time. My kids grew up with me screaming and arguing with my wife. There was always symptoms of something wrong with me, but you know, drinking was the last thing I was about to give up, because that was my solution of being happy or out of myself and not dealing with life. So when I lost my business and I had to go figure out what was wrong, my life was totally unmanageable, I went to a therapist and he said, how much do you drink? And I said, what the hell does that have to do with anything? And sure enough, he sent me to Alcoholics Anonymous. Instead of me paying him $150 an hour. He sends me to Alcoholics Anonymous for $2 a meeting, you know. And I thought, if this guy's giving up that business and sending me to AA, I better listen a little bit. And from that day, I started identifying. But the big deal I bring that up is because in AA, the first thing you need to do is have a higher power and have God in your life. And I hadn't had God in my life in all 40 of those years. So that was like quite an obstacle. So AA brought me to God, but somehow God brought me to AA through whatever circumstance brought me there. But I found my higher power there in AA, and then wound up finding and searching where I could support it. And of course, Unity to me is like an AA church. I mean, it's just so spiritual, it's phenomenal. So it was through that process that I came here. But we talk about circumstances that change our lives. And because I came to AA, it didn't mean that all of a sudden I got joyful and happy and I was fulfilled. I basically now was miserable because I didn't know how to get any kind of satisfaction out of anything since I couldn't drink anymore, and issues in life were going on. Now what do I do? So finding a spiritual path was the answer, but fulfillment was not there for a while. And so a circumstance happened. I'll tell you where we come from disasters into these new awakenings, you know. And I can look back over my life and say, you know, I've been through a lot of tough times that in turn changed the way I felt about something, and then I did something different. And that's how we learn. Actions happen, or we do actions, and all of a sudden we feel different, and then we believe different. So if we don't do that deal, we're always feeling the same way, or we're the same person, nothing changes. So this whole experience is all about having a higher power, God, spirituality, come into my life and become willing and open. And this third step in AA says you turn your will and your life over to a power greater than yourself. You don't have to even understand how it works. You just have to do it. And if I had to figure out how God works, I'd still not believe in God. I just have to use God, have God in my life to make decisions. Together we do that. So I will tell a quick story about how fellowship came about. And fellowship basically is my fulfillment. Right now, I'm fulfilled from an outside source, but I'm helping people do and fulfill their lives. So it makes me feel good. And so that's my joy at the moment. You know, I can look back over my life, and you know, my daughter's here, my sons, they were my joy. Then they grew up, and now I'm by myself. So what joy do I have? Where do I reach out for joy outside of myself? We talk about that all the time. In Power Hour, where do we find joy in ourselves? We're always looking outside. So the whole idea that this circumstance happened to me, and I do have time, don't I? So one day, I'm 8 years sober, and it was on my 62nd birthday, right? Easter Sunday, 2002. So I'm down the beach with Susan and I are going to the beach to go swimming. But the beach on Easter Sunday, and this was on the Saturday before, we couldn't find a parking spot for, felt like an hour, but it was pretty horrific riding around, people cutting everybody off. And anyway, one of my underlying issues that I never attacked in AA was my temper, my anger. The issues that we have when we drink and drug because we have these situations we haven't dealt with, that was one that I never dealt with. And at that time I had 8 years sober already. So I wound up getting so angry and frustrated, waiting, and I went into a parking space finally, and some lady waved me off and told me I couldn't take that spot. She was saving it for her husband. And I lost it. And long story short, I kept trying to get into the spot with her there, and when she climbed up on my hood, it was like, and it's like justification why I wanted to kill her. I basically tried to get her off my hood, and I kept jamming the brake, and all of a sudden my foot slipped under the brake, and we rolled ahead, and I pulled it out, and I hit the accelerator, and we went over the curb through the parking meter into a fence. and I almost killed that lady. She had crushed her ankle. I got arrested for aggravated battery with a deadly weapon, that facing 13 years. I was 62 years old, never been arrested. Long story short, 2 years later, after fighting it, I gave up and just said to the judge, give me what that's called, it's called downward departure. Because I was told if I lost that case, I would go to jail for 13 years or prison. So I did a downward departure, and she gave me a year in the county jail and 2 years of house arrest. I was like, man, didn't expect that. I was in my suit and tie, you know, in the courtroom. All my friends were there, and they just cuffed me right there. Boom, I was on my way. And at that point, now I have 10 years in recovery, and God was right with me. I couldn't have handled that situation without God. It was one of those deals. I already been the spiritual path and knowing that whatever's going to happen, God is right with me all the way. So from that moment, my mind just went like, whoa, this is going to be an interesting experience. I know God's with me, and we're going to do this. So I approached that and stayed in jail for a year. And during that year, I met hundreds of guys who I was able to help through their drug addiction and alcoholism, because I was in a program where I became like a counselor in the jail. So there's 94 guys in my pod, and they turned over a few times in a year. So I got to really talk to a lot of people and really help a lot of people. And that, while I was there, made a decision that when I leave, we were going to open up a place, which is now Fellowship Living. Bottom line is, God put me there. That judge put me there for a reason. The reason was to do something that I was meant to be doing the rest of my life. And I'm so grateful for that experience. I couldn't have learned any more, couldn't have done any more than that experience taught me. Now I can help people who have been going through the same stuff, just like Libby. We can talk to people from a level that we understand. So I am so blessed to have had my experience, have had this experience, and for able to talk to you about it. Thank you.
I just want to say one more thing real quick. Thank you so much. Thank you, family. My newest favorite song right now is by a kirtan artist named Krishna Das, and it's called By Your Grace. And it's the most beautiful song, and there's a line in there that says, I am the prisoner, you are released, and that's exactly how I feel today. And you all are a part of that. Thank you.
Good. Yep.
Thank you both. And now is the part of our service where we give back. I want to thank you all in the various ways that you give, whether it's through your time or your serving here, and also through your monetary giving. We run based on your giving, so all that is here is in part from you guys. So if you do not have something to give, if you give monthly, or you give on PayPal, or perhaps you just want to have something, we have a proxy that you could hold on to and hold and put your energy on it to place in the offer plate. If you can say the offertory prayer with me together. With a grateful heart, I acknowledge God as source of all that is. Today, I declare good and more good is mine, and ever increasing good is mine. Everywhere I go, I see this good, I feel it, I experience, I freely give it, and it multiplies itself around me. And so it is.
You guys ready? All right. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Come on in, ease on down the road. Come on in, ease on down the road. Don't you carry nothing that might be alone. Come on, ease on down the road. Come on in, ease on down the road. Don't you give up walking, 'cause you gave up shoes. No, come on, ease on down the road. Come on in, ease on down the road. Don't you carry nothing that might be a load. Come on, ease on down the road. 'Cause there may be times when you think you lost your mind, and the steps you're taking leave you 3 more steps behind. But the road you're walking might be long sometimes. You just keep on stepping and you'll be just fine. Come on, ease on down the road. Come on and ease on down the road. Well, don't you carry nothing that might be a load. Come on, ease on down there. All right. You know we do things a little differently here, so let's clap our hands. Come on. Come on, ease on down. Feel free to get up and dance too. Hey, well, there may be times when you wish you wasn't born, and you wake one morning just to find your courage gone. But you know that feeling only lasts a little while. You just stick with us, and we'll show you how to smile. Come on, get up, get 'em on. Ease on down, get 'em up, going down. Ease on down, get 'em up, going down. Ease on down, get 'em up, get 'em up. Ease on down the road, get 'em up, going down. Ease on down, get 'em up, going down. Come on. Ease on down, get 'em up, going down. Ease on down, get 'em up, get 'em up. Ease on down the road. Woo-hoo. Ease on down. Woo-hoo. Ease on down. Woo-hoo. Ease on down, get 'em up, get 'em up. Ease on down the road.
You guys never disappoint. Amazing. Thank you. And if everyone can please now rise as we say the prayer for protection together. Together, the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Thank you.